Session. Today I wanted to answer a couple of questions I got from my yesterday 20-minute discovery call with one of the animators, and he asked some really good questions, and I just thought I'd share them here because I thought it would be beneficial for others to hear them as well. So there are a couple of questions, 5 to 6, so I'll see if I can answer them quickly to help you on your social media and your IPs on social media. So first question is, I don't have an animation IP, should I join the program right now? So regardless if you join the program or not, this question is really, should you promote your animated IP before it's finished? If you still don't have it ready, if you're still in production, should you go on social media and post, or should you wait until it's done? And my answer to this is always, whether you join my program or any other program, doesn't really matter. But the point is, don't wait on promoting your passion project, IP, or anything, because you need to learn the skill of content creation one way or the other. The sooner you start that, it's going to be better for you. Time is going to pass anyway. And it's better if you build your audience by sharing the journey and sharing the struggles, rather than if you just come out on social media and saying, hey, it's done. Here are a couple of pretty concept arts. So even if you do end up having some successful videos later on, and you do end up growing a following, don't mistake following with a loyal audience. So it's not going to be the same audience if they connect with you on your journey, struggles, and if they build with you, rather than if they just see the final product at the end. So I would always encourage you either to invest in your education to learning the skill of content creation, short form content, writing for social media and all of that, or to start alone on your own. The sooner the better. So yeah, that's kind of my answer to that. The next question was, I want to build an animated IP, but should I first focus on building my freelance career and a stable influx of clients, freelance clients? And my answer to this is, depends on your capacity. If you can do both, that's more power to you, great, go do both. I was always, through my 10 years of animating in animation industry, I was always building something on the side. I was always kind of preparing my safe arc on the side, just to have something cooking, just to have something in the background, because I knew that even though today is all nice and cushy and everything is good, that doesn't mean it's going to be the same for 5 years or even just 2 years down the road. So it's always better to build something while you still have this financial stability, or even if you're just trying to build a network of good clients that will always come back. It's always beneficial for you to build something on your own on the side. So that would be kind of my advice on that. The next question was, my IP is super simple, but my demo reel is game dev realism mocap. Should you merge the two on the same account, or should you open a new account? Now, this really depends. So it depends on your goal. Concretely, this particular animator, their goal was to find clients as well, but he has an IP as well. And most of you who interact with me or who are in my program are in the similar situation. So you have also the desire to find clients, but you also have a passion project on the side, IP, something on the side cooking. And it's always a question, should I separate the two, or should I merge the two? And my advice is always, again, depends. If you have the capacity to separate the two on the two accounts, if you have the capacity to create content for two accounts, then go for it. But this also depends if you have like a weekly, regular, consistent schedule to post your animated IP. And what I mean by IP, that's also really important. What I mean in this particular case by IP is short vignettes, short clips with animated characters designed for shareability and for relatability. So I don't mean a short film. I don't mean an indie game. So if you have short animated vignettes, like Nobody Sausage, Pudgy Penguin, Claynosaurus, what else? Happy Potato, Chicken Nuggets. Check all those IPs. So if you are building something like that, where you want your animated characters to become a brand, the front face of your profile, then I would suggest opening a new account. However, if that's something you're just starting out and developing, then I would try to merge that with your one account. It's all about the ratio of content that you want to produce. So if your primary goal is finding clients, I would then optimize like 70-80% of my content to be for clients. And then occasionally I would blend in my IP, where the style and the look and everything is drastically different from your demo reel. That might be mocap, realism, game dev, doesn't really matter what it is, but your IP is super simplified. There is a way to actually merge those two together. It's just the ratio of content. How do you communicate that to your audience? So if you are not confused, nor they will be confused. So yeah, that would be kind of my advice on that. What's the average time do I need to spend on my animated IP to make it grow? Well, that is going to heavily depend on your skill set and what type of IP do you have cooking. Usually you can see the results on TikTok and Instagram within a day. Algorithms are super fast and you can see whether a video is going to perform within hours, but let's say within a day. And if you're good at catching up what your audience is telling you, if you know how to read the analytics, if you know how to make relatable content, it's going to be a much quicker process to build a successful animated IP. However, if you are just creating for your own sake, if you don't listen to audience feedback, if you don't care about the analytics, if you are not studying religiously and spending time in analyzing different successful IPs online and seeing what works with them, what doesn't, how do you implement in yours, what are some of the evergreen stories when it comes to animated content, it's going to take you much longer, naturally. On average, I saw that it takes up to 6 months to see any real result and any real traction when it comes to animated IP. And that's a really big caveat. 6 months is a good benchmark. Why? Because first we need to establish a volume of content before we see what's going on. And when you have that volume of content, then you can start seeing, okay, what are some of the patterns? What's something we can double down on? And if you are, again, building with your audience, then after those 6 months, the growth is not linear. It's more like exponential. It looks like a hockey stick. So the more you produce content, the more you will know what works and what doesn't, and the more your videos will resonate with your audience. So if you don't know what you're doing, if you're just going blind and creating animated content and stories as it was a traditional process, writing process and traditional pre-production process in traditional animation industry, if you stick to that and completely ignore the social media aspect, it's going to take you longer. But I would say 6 months is kind of the average. If you are really hungry for it to succeed. Next question was, how much time does making animated IP takes, or how much time will it take me from my full-time job? That really depends from many things. First one is the complexity of rigs, like how complex your rig is you're trying to use, how complex the design is. So if you have a lot of props, if you have fur, God forbid, or if you have a lot of facial controls, so if your general design and rig is super complex, it's going to take you a lot more time to animate something like that, rather than if you take a look at Happy Potatoes rigs. Those designs are very optimized for social media and for something that can be pumped on masses. If you are one person show, if you're a team and if you have a budget, then that's a different conversation. But it's going to depend from complexity of rigs. It's going to depend from your background. Do you have any complex backgrounds you need to render? How many characters do you have? How complex the story and the animation itself is, and how long it's going to take you to animate all that. I advise all my students who are doing IPs online, don't take more than 8 hours from idea to final render. Why? Especially if you have a full-time job, it will be impossible to sustain that type of tempo if you plan to upload weekly. So you need to optimize your time, your energy, your production to the maximum level if you want to sustain this. And why would you even want to upload weekly? Because if you just upload once a month, that pace is going to be mega slow for you to see any result, any real metric and data, and to see what's working and what not. Just because you maybe have one outlier video doesn't mean you can replicate it successfully on the next one. It's going to be way slower to see patterns emerging. So that's why I advise to optimize your whole production pipeline so you can upload weekly, basically. And the last question was, how long should my IP exist before I can monetize it? That again depends. How long do you build an audience? So if you have an audience and after a couple of months you already get like 50,000, 100,000, 200,000 followers, you can monetize it right away. At that stage, I would also look at nurturing your audience and kind of pooling on Instagram stories and other ways to pull from your audience what is something they would want as a product. And you basically ask them and offer them and make that thing. So it doesn't necessarily has to be a plushie or a keychain or a digital sticker. So ask them what is something they would want and see what would be the cheapest test product to test, basically. So that's how I would think about monetizing. Again, 6 months, it's some average. To start monetizing it. When it comes to animated IPs online, you guys know that those IPs are usually offering low ticket products, so merch up to $50, and that type of products usually tend to sell better and sell on impulse rather than, some high ticket coaching programs, because up to $50 is almost like an impulse buy, and you can definitely utilize ManyChat on Instagram to drive those purchases more effectively. So the frictionless the process you have when you're monetizing your product, the better it's going to be for your audience. So in terms of when building an animated IP online specifically, and what I mean by IP is those shorts, animated vignettes, animated characters, not short films, not indie games. Those are separate. But short vignettes, it really depends how good your storytelling is, because I had one client who is a big studio and they have a super successful animated IP on social media. But their advantage was that first they had a team and they pushed out very high quality animation. It was nicely rendered, so automatically the quality of the whole look, the quality of animation raised the bar because the audience, as soon as they see effort put into something, they tend to appreciate it more. It was novel. That's the second reason why that was successful. And the third reason was it fall into that slapstick comedy type of genre of animated IPs on social media, and that usually tends to perform the best. So that's the reason why they were successful in just 6 months. However, if you're just starting on your own, you don't have a team who can animate multiple characters. You don't have a rigger to pay who could design you a fancy rig and lots of props. You don't have a texture, lighting, compositing artist who is going to make the production quality and level of those IP shorts to 100, to a maximum. So you need to compete on something else, which is storytelling. So you need to figure out what is the best story I can tell and completely ignore character design, character look in a way, because it's all about the audience and the person who is going to share that. And what I've seen works across animated IPs on socials is that, and I've seen it many times, that a lot of these IPs would have similar stories that are kind of repeating one way or the other. And that just tells me that it doesn't matter, again, who the character is, like what's the specific design or how do you want it to look, but it's the story that's relatable to people and they want to share it. And the more you can figure out that and what's your starting point and how quickly can you iterate on that, the better your IP is going to be successful on social media. So that's going to be your competitive advantage if you figure out how to do a really successful storytelling compared to competing on production quality with some of the studios, because that would be impossible. Yeah, that's kind of it. I wanted to answer for the questions that came up on yesterday's call that I wanted to share with you guys. If there's anything here I can answer, or if not, then I'm gonna bounce. Cool. Okay. So yeah, to recap, don't wait for your IP to be finished on social media if you're making a short film or indie game or anything that you want to show the journey of you making it. That's going to be a more effective way for the audience to engage with you. And if you kind of want to shorten that gap with you learning how to do social media and animation at the same time, then definitely investing in a skill set and education. How do you shorten that path? And I was trying to kind of figure out how exactly does my program helps animator? What is the biggest benefit they're getting? And I was contemplating what is the best way to communicate that to people. And I came up, or the thought came into my mind, almost like, imagine you're a Frodo who is going to Mordor. And you want to get to Mordor, but you have no idea what are the roads, what paths should you take, what should you avoid, where should you stop and rest, where is the dangerous spots, what are some of the more casual spots. So for years you're kind of spinning in circle and going into Shire or maybe into Rivendell and kind of spinning into circles for years and kind of thinking, oh god damn it, I don't even want to go to Mordor anymore. I'm just gonna stay here. Mordor is too far away. It's not even worth it. It's almost like a bittersweet fruit. And then Gandalf comes along and offers you a map how to arrive to Mordor and what are some of the steps you need to go through and what is the direction you need to go to. And that's kind of the clear pathway to Mordor. And my program is exactly that, a map for you not to wander anymore, so you know exactly the steps you need to go to achieve your goal. However, map is not the only thing that's needed to reach to Mordor or to reach your goal. Just because you know how to do something doesn't mean that you will do it. Of course, first step is definitely important. Without knowing what to do, it's just, you're gonna spend years spinning in circles. So first step is definitely important, knowing what to do, what type of content to create for a specific outcome you're after. Where I see animators in this Frodo situation is that they create content based on false metrics expecting they will reach at their destination. So imagine if Frodo wanted to go to Mordor, but he went in the direction of, I don't know, Rivendell. It doesn't make sense. The direction is wrong. So you need a map. What is the path toward the thing that I want to do? Not toward the path of likes, shares, engagement, false metrics. And yeah, so that's kind of the first step, knowing what to do. And then the next big thing that kind of brings you from Shire to Mordor is map, but it's also Sam. And Sam, in my case, is a community of people who is on the same path and who is picking you up and encouraging you when you fall down, when you don't feel like creating, when you're discouraged because you don't have views, when you're dismotivated. Sam is the reason why Frodo came to Mordor. And both things are important. Both the map, but also the support and the accountability for you to get to your goal. So yeah, that was kind of how I wanted to present my program, and I just wanted to share with you guys. That was kind of it for today, and yeah, seems like there's no questions, so I'm just gonna bounce. I'll see you guys in the next live. Bye.